Hi everyone, this is Melissa Raspberry again from the American Institutes for Research. We are very happy to have you here with us tonight. The AIR is the organization that has the extreme pleasure of serving as the facilitator and supporter of the CS10K community. And we're joined tonight by three fabulous guests and leaders within the CS10K community who are going to provide you with a little bit more information about how you really can use that space to support your work as ECS educators. I will be here mainly for technical support. I can also answer questions if you may have them, and Gail and John and Nicole are unable to answer if there's something specific about the website. I can be happy to assist with that as well. But we do encourage you, we really mean it when we say on the previous slide, and I'll put it back here for those of you who might have just joined in, that we want to physically hear from you. That means we encourage you to either call in using your phone with the conference number on the screen here, and I'll also add it and make sure it's in the chat window as well. But either call in via your phone, via your computer, and we want you to talk with us. I know a lot of webinars these days are sit and get, but we want this to be interactive. You're welcome to, sometimes people just plan to listen in and they add information in the chat window, which is fine, but just know when we say we want to hear from you, we really, really, truly mean it. So let me know how I can be of assistance. If you are connected via phone, we do ask that if you're not speaking to put your line on mute, just to kind of cut back on any background noise and things like that. But let me know how else I may help you tonight. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to Gail. Thanks, everyone.
Well, let me add my welcome to that of Melissa's and tell you that we're very happy to have you here, and our plan for this evening is to try to help you learn how to navigate the CS10K community in ways that will help you and can turn this fledgling community into something that's vibrant and helpful for everyone involved. The community will be only as positive and interactive as the members are positive and interactive. So let's get started. And so the agenda, we're rapidly getting to who is in the room, and if you will continue to add your names and where you're from as you arrive, that would be great. First, we're going to introduce ourselves, the facilitators. Then we'll talk a little bit about navigating through the CS10K community. We'll pause after that. Nicole's going to handle that, and then wait for some questions from you so that we don't rush through things that may seem challenging or confusing or whatever. We want to make sure that you leave here with a good understanding of what it is that the CS10K community can do for you. Then John will talk about some curated resources that he's putting together, collections of resources for each of the ECS units. Another Q&A, and then we would really like to get your feedback and have a discussion about things that we can possibly add or modify that would help you experience with this site. We can't promise anything. I won't even try to promise on behalf of Melissa because I know there are many, many things that we have on the plate to do. But we are having a meeting this, at the end of this week to talk about a lot of things related to the CS10K community. So this is a really timely way of getting some feedback to take to that meeting. And then we'll have wrap up the next steps. So I'm Gail Chapman, co-author of the ECS Curriculum and Professional Development Model and Director of Outreach for the Exploring Computer Science program. John? Hello, John. Nicole?
this is Nicole. I hope you guys can hear me all right. Hi, this is Nicole. Hopefully you guys can hear me all right. Give me a guess. Yes, we can hear you. Fantastic, Melissa. My name is Nicole Ray Larson, and I've been an educator, ECS for the last couple, 4 or 5 years, and I'm excited that I'm going to be able to talk with you guys tonight on how I use the CS10K site and how hopefully we can connect with each other to network and support each other as ECS teachers, whether we're new to ECS or we've taught it a couple of years. There's a lot of things that we can learn from each other. So thanks for having me tonight.
All right, and then back to John. John, we can't hear you. I'm not quite sure what's happening here, but I think we will move on, and hopefully John will get his connection working by the time we get to his part, and he can introduce himself at that point in time. So we're going to start with Nicole talking about navigating through the CS10K community, in particular ECS Open Group and what the intended audience and benefits are, and then finally, where do I find teaching practices, resources, and discussion. So I will turn it over to Nicole, and she will take it away.
Hi, I wanted to share with you guys how to first share with you guys how to find the ECS Open Group. So look at the slide from the main CS10K site. At the very top on the right side, you'll want to go ahead and choose Groups. And once you select Groups, it lists all the different groups we have available. I want to click on the ECS Open Group. You'll need to join it to be part of the group so that we know kind of who is in there talking, share different ideas and different things that we can do to support each other. Once you've gone ahead and clicked on the Open Group, it's going to open up to a page that has all the different resources in the Open Group. So if we could have you move the slide, Melissa, that'd be great. Awesome. So on the next slide, what can I find in the ECS Open Group? We've got a lot of different arrows here. We use different things. So on the right-hand side, we have different places where you can add content yourself. We've got a discussion, add events or resources. We've got ECS tools specific for each of you. And then we've got members. We can see who's part of the ECS Open Group. And then on the left-hand side, it kind of expands out what we can do. So we've got the discussions, and the newest discussion that we've had lately is going to go ahead and be up top. We've got events, so those things that are coming up most recently. And then we've got resources. So it's kind of broken down to those 3 main areas. If we could go ahead and move to the next slide, that'd be great.
Nicole, you actually have presenter capacity, so you could just use the arrows on the bottom left-hand side of your screen to advance.
Perfect. Thanks, Melissa. All right, so first I wanted to talk about different teaching practices. With ECS, many of us are new to ECS, and so we have a lot of space here in discussions where we've put in journal posts or discussion prompts to ask you guys how you're using different teaching practices that go along with the ECS style of teaching and different suggestions on what we can do. So in the discussions, one of the prompts that we've had, how are you using journals in the classroom? Journals is a really integral part of exploring computer science, really having students take the time to reflect on what they're learning and share with their neighbors and, again, reflect back on different things. We've got great ideas around using the ECS assessment. And then Don put in a great post on how do you help with students and peer feedback. And so in the discussion area, this is a great place to share teaching practices and where you guys really feel we can help each other. If you have questions, this is a great place to put in your questions. You have teachers who are new to ECS that might share some of their ideas on practices, or even we've got teachers who have been teaching for a long time who might be able to give you some feedback on what's working or what's not working for them in their area. And that's one thing that I'd like to encourage folks to do is put in here about your teaching practices, what questions that you have so we can help out. And then if in the discussions, go ahead and look at some of the ones that have already been posted and see if there's anything that you can share to help out another teacher. The next slide, we have our resources. We have a place where we can share what are we doing in our classes, what's working and what's not working, or if you have an activity that's coming up and you're not quite sure how that's going to work with your students, right here in the resources on the right-hand side, it has each of the different units broken out. Once you've clicked on like one human-computer interaction, it breaks down to all of the different resources that people have put into the CS10K site. And when you put a resource in, you can tag it to what unit it's in and what day it's in as well. So hopefully that helps trying to find specific lessons and specific activities to support you as a teacher. Also, if you've got a lesson that's gone really well in your class and you feel like you could share it with others, this is a great place where we would love to see what you're doing. We know that every class is different, whether you teach at first period and third period. Sometimes you have to just change that towards your students. So anything that you guys have used that has been a great success, please share. As Gail mentioned before, this site is only as good as what the users are putting into it. So as you add resources, this will be really helpful. If you haven't seen the ECS assessments that have been put in yet, we've got some assessments for Unit 1 and Unit 2. We've had a webinar around those, and so if you missed the webinar that we had about the ECS assessments, you can jump in here to the CS10K site and see those previous webinars. One thing else that I wanted to point out on the resources is that the more specific you are when you tag it or in the title, the easier it is for teachers to find. And so we have a really great example on the slide of Unit 1, Day 3 through 4, Computer Purchase Assessment. That really helps people looking for activities to be able to clearly see what it is you've got out there. You also get emails sent to you either daily or weekly that lets you know when new resources have been put in. So that's another way to know when people are putting things in around the same time for each unit. The next area I have is discussions, and this is where I try to put things in weekly to help people connect on where we're at. We've got one in here right now on Scratch, on broadcast and receive blocks. I noticed that Tyrell put in a really great resource, and in order to have more folks be kind of led to our resource, I put in a question on broadcast and receive. How do you have students get in and learn those two concepts, because it can be really hard. We also have in there, how are you using journals in the classroom? We had another teacher ask, what do we do when we have students say, why aren't we coding? And it's the beginning of the year, and I think it's a programming class. How do you respond to students? We would love to hear you guys put in there what you guys tell students when you have parents come in for parent-teacher conference and they're asking why you're not doing coding and it's a computer science class, what kind of response you give to them. We've got in there as well, how have you built a collaborative classroom? One of our last webinars, we had Sangeeta and Dawn share what they're doing in their classroom, and Dawn shared a picture of different collaborative setups of desks that you can put in your classroom to get kids talking. And sometimes we have desks that are kind of mounted to the floor and computers mounted. So how can we overcome some of those barriers? And here in the discussion area is a great place where you can put in kind of the scenario of your classroom, and here's what you've got, and have teachers from around the nation connect with you on what they might do in that same situation. And that's kind of the power of the discussions, is that you have a network of teachers across the United States who are teaching ECS, and you can get some support from them. For the discussions, notice on the main page there is an all discussions link that you can click to see the full length of discussions, and then it will scroll through multiple pages if you only see a few of them. Another resource is events. There are different events going on in the ECS Open project, as well as events going on the CS10K project. And this is a place where you can see what's going on. It's a great time that you know that you'll be in a connection or in a webinar with teachers who are teaching ECS. We've got the chat window where you guys can put questions, and then other teachers here on the call can respond. Or it's even better, we have our curriculum writers here on the call as well. And so it's not very often that you're actually able to talk to a curriculum writer and ask them questions or find out different ways that you can receive support from 30, 40 other teachers around the nation. So part of the power of having webinars and having events like this where we can come together online is being able to network with each other and share ideas. And so here in the events page, we'll have different things up. I know we have webinars, we've had Twitter chats, there are different things that come up as well. So definitely check your events often to see what's coming up. Now, if you want to share content, you've got a really great discussion that you want to ask, up on the right-hand side of the main area of the screen where you have the open ECS group, you have add content, and it's broken down into discussions. When you do a discussion, you always want to make sure that you put in a title up at the top. From the title, it's going to ask you, who do you want to share it with? You can choose ECS Open Group. You can choose a specific project that you're in. And then you can share it with specific people. Then you've got your body where you can type in your question. You can add some of your formatting features, links. You can add also attachments. So again, if you've got a setup of your classroom and you take a picture and you want to stick it in there to have people kind of look at your classroom and see how to set it up and give feedback, you can stick a picture in there. Then you can tag it by curriculum. So for ECS, it's broken down into each of the 6 units. From the curriculum, you can also add in tags on what day it is, or if it's something specific about the handshake activity, or it's a specific question about what you're doing in Scratch, you can put that in the tags. You've got different ways you can add your attachments. You can preview it, and then you can save it. So that's one way that you could add in discussions. Again, we have people in there all the time looking at the discussions and commenting, so that's a great way to give back to the community as well if you've been teaching the class for a couple of years. As a resource, if you want to insert a resource, again, give it the title. It's always helpful to put the resource in with what unit it is, the day it is, and the title, so teachers can easily navigate it. You'll want to choose to put it in the ECS Open Group. Again, if you want to add in a picture, you can go ahead and add in a picture. Give a good description of it, especially if it's a lesson that you've done or an activity. Give us kind of a scenario of how you did that activity. What was kind of the layout of when you used it? Was it a bell ringer activity? Was it something that you did in the middle of the class? Was it an exit ticket? But how did you use that activity? And then if you have any attachments you want to put in there, that would be great. I know that I live in Utah and I work with a lot of the ECS teachers in Utah, and we've had some teachers share some amazing resources at our face-to-face meetings. And I've asked them, please upload it to the whole community site. We have so many people nationwide that could benefit from some of your resources. And if you're struggling with an activity and it didn't go so well, you may want to ask, hey, this is the activity that I tried. Does anyone have suggestions on switching the activity up just a little bit, tweaking it so that it works better with these students? But in here, this is where you can kind of put your activities that you have. Again, once you put your resource in, you want to choose your curriculum, which unit. You've got different objectives in there, tags, your attachment, and then you'll want to go ahead and save it. For events coming up, it would be great if you're having face-to-face meetings in your local area, if you wanted to put those in. That way teachers who may have not been in the ECS group for a while, because they're veteran teachers, maybe they can come to one of the newer groups and they can go ahead and share. So your events is a great place to post things as well, so that again we can connect to the community. So we've got a space here for questions and answers where we can talk about how we can go ahead and connect here in the community and share resources. If you want, you can unmute your mic and ask questions, or you can go ahead and put questions in the chat box. But we'll give you guys just a couple minutes to give us some insights on how we can help you within the navigation of the discussions and resources and events to give you what you need as support for teachers.
Hi, Nicole. This is Melissa. I have a question that I'm guessing that some of these folks may be thinking as well, so I'll go ahead and ask it for them. What if I'm just not really sure where to get started, and I really don't know, you know, I don't have a resource, and I'm just really curious, what's the best way for me to get help and assistance in the community?
That is an awesome question. One thing that I think as a new teacher or even a veteran teacher to ECS is as you're looking at what you're going to be teaching in the next couple of weeks, and you're looking at through either you have the manual printed out for the curriculum for ECS, or you're looking online, and maybe you're going to be doing one of the Web 2.0 activities, and you're not quite sure which activities you should assign to students. So you're doing the internet scavenger hunt. I would start out by looking at the curriculum, seeing what's in the curriculum, and then going online to the site. I've come to this ECS open group. I would go over to resources. I would look in Unit 1, and then from Unit 1, I would go ahead and look for anything in those days that I would be doing the internet search or the Web 2.0 tools. And I'd see some of the other resources teachers had put up. I'd also look in the discussions and see if other teachers had put anything up about the internet scavenger hunt. Maybe how they tailored that scavenger hunt to their local community. Maybe they really wanted students in the local community to be able to find specific things that would be meaningful to them. I would go ahead and check the discussion board as well. And then I would also look and see if there are any resources from teachers who were in my area and see if they had something. Also, when I post, it's always nice to get feedback on my discussion that I put in, or a resource to hear how it worked in other teachers' classes. If the activity that I put in worked really well, I would love to hear from a teacher that they used it and it worked great. Or if they had to tweak it a little bit to fit the needs of their student. It would be great to hear what other ideas people have that I might even still embark for the next time I teach my curriculum and do that same activity. So definitely looking ahead, I would look at that lesson that's going to be coming up in the next couple of days and see what tweaks people have done to make it work with their students.
Thanks so much. That's very helpful.
Another recommendation that I would also give is a lot of times in Unit 2 when you're doing the Lego activity or you're doing the candy bar activity, sometimes you just want to know what other people are using instead of Legos if they don't have access to Legos, or if you have students with allergies. The discussion board is a great place to put questions like that in there, especially if you're not able to get Legos. Put in there, hey, you guys, I don't have any Legos. What else are you doing? I know that some people have used the old school pink erasers that we had when we were all kids, and they've used those to stack with. I know for the candy bar activity, someone used spaghetti noodles that were the hard spaghetti noodles to break it. And so that would be one thing that would be really great is if you have questions like that, hey, I'm not sure what to do for the sorting activity, or I don't have XYZ, reaching into the community and asking questions is a great thing to do. The question that I'm going to pose to those of you online is to put in the chat area, what can we do to help support you as teachers? In the discussion area or in the resources, what can we do so that we can help you, so that as a teacher who teaches maybe 4 or 5 subjects, what can we do to make the site more meaningful for you or to draw more attention? Would it be helpful to do like bi-weekly, here's where most people are at in the units, and do kind of like a bi-weekly chat, or to have like posts that we have on each of the different units bi-weekly, or what would help support you guys as teachers so that you enjoy teaching the curriculum, you can make the connections to what's going on in each of the different units into the real world so that kids can see how ECS benefits them. But definitely in the chat window, please share with us what we can do to help make the site more user-friendly so that you'll come back and bring your friends. I see a couple people typing in the chat window. Same to you. We love people sharing their comments and ideas. So please keep typing. Janet, that is a great suggestion. Can we spotlight some resources that may have been lost in the list? So that is something that I will go ahead and jot down, that I will try to highlight some of those resources that may have been shared since the CS10K site has been around for a while. There might be some gems in there. I will go ahead and put that down. Awesome. I see another suggestion. As we get busy as teachers, maybe send reminders of things that have come up. Thank you. I appreciate that.
So I realized that I have been on mute for the last 5 times I've tried to talk, so that's not good. So I see that Vic Pacheco is typing, and so we'll wait a little while longer.
Now, do most of you know how to check how often you're getting your emails to remind you when things are posted? You can, in your profile, you can change how often things are posted. On the left-hand side of your screen where it says welcome and your name, you can click on your name. And when you click on your name, you can go ahead and edit your profile. Once you click on edit, it brings up your username, it brings up your first name, brings up your contact information, brings up things about you, your Twitter. You can go in and share things so that people can follow you, see what great things you're doing. You can put in there what your experience is if you want, but you can also change your notifications near the bottom from daily, semi-weekly, weekly, or never. You may want to change those weekly so that you can see when people are putting things in. You can also choose to receive the newsletter or not. So I would recommend changing your preferences. Again, top left-hand side where it says welcome and your name, click on your name, and then click on edit your profile and scroll down to the bottom to where you see how often you're receiving notices. We would love for you guys to sign up for the e-newsletter. We share a lot of different updates about the community, and so there's a lot of things going on amongst the entire site where you can hear things going on.
So assuming people can hear me now?
Yeah.
Pacheco. Good. Okay, so Vic Pacheco posted a question about the culturally situated design tools, and I think that's an excellent example of something that could be posted in one of the discussions to see if maybe other teachers have found some workarounds for that or some other resources. So it'd be a good thing to offer to the group.
Exactly. And I want to point out two other things that related to this conversation. One is, don't be afraid to use your local ECS project if you're part of one of the local NSF-funded projects, such as Massachusetts group or Utah. Not everything has to, well, we want you to just share with the open group. Sometimes there are discussions that you might want to have just with your local folks that have attended PD with you or that you work with on a regular basis. So all of the same content features are available in those projects for sharing just with that group if you want to. And a tip is not to forget when you are trying to share either a discussion, an event, or a resource, that you've checked the appropriate thing on your drop-down menu for sharing, because I've had my own issues with that where I've forgotten to share and just kept it as a draft and wondered why it didn't show up for other people to see. So it's one of those things that it's a good debugging exercise if you think that you've entered something and it has disappeared.
Can I also say on the flip side, if you've shared something in your local group only, it might be nice to share it with the open group as well so people across the country can see it.
Sure. That's a really good question, Janet, and I think Melissa's going to have to answer that one. All right, I'm going to suggest that we move on to the content resources that John will be talking about, and then we'll take some more time for questions and answers and feedback. And so as John is talking, feel free to keep typing.
Sure, and so I guess maybe not everybody was able to hear me earlier. So I'm John Londa. I've been working with ECS for like 7 years. I've been coaching teachers through UCLA the last 6 years. So one of the questions that Janet had posed earlier was, well, what about resources that kind of get buried, or, you know, how do we highlight these things? So what I've been working on is curating some of the content, both content that's already on the 10K site and maybe some other resources that I've used or I've seen other teachers use. So Unit 1 is supposed to be published any day now. I'm currently also working on Unit 2, but they all follow a similar format. So that's what's in front of us now. So there's this 3-2-1 format where it's 3 thoughts to keep in mind while planning or teaching the lesson, 2 questions to ponder, and these can be questions for the teacher or sometimes for the student as well, and 1 or more resources that you can use. So I'll show you some examples. So some examples for the 3 thoughts to keep in mind. So this is from the computer components, days 3 to 4 of Unit 1. So like it says, while you're planning or implementing your lesson, you might want to think about the fact that some students may not have heard about these computer components, all the terminology, or let alone like what it means. Right? This might be their first experience. Students should be able to justify their choices when choosing one computer over the other. And of course, this is a good point in the course to instill some of those norms for working in groups, such as roles and behavior. So for each of the days in ECS, there'll be like three things to keep in mind. So 2 questions to ponder. So some open-ended questions, like I said, sometimes for the teacher, sometimes for the student. An example from days 1 and 2 of Unit 1, the what is a computer lesson. Says, so what might be some benefits to students from creating their own definitions of a computer, and what might the word computer mean 10 years from now? Okay. And then, of course, the 1 or more resources. And these come in basically kind of like 2 categories. Things that are from the CS10K site, whether that's links or discussions or lessons that are uploaded, and then to other trusted resources, videos, articles, software. I'll show you some examples of that. So from the CS10K site for days 5 to 7 of the curriculum, someone had posted a website to use for the evaluation in case you didn't want to use what was listed. And then also for the scavenger hunt, someone posted their scavenger hunt that encourages the use of different search engines. Okay. Some more from the CS10K site. Nicole even mentioned, what happens if you were going to teach Web 2.0? Well, Melanie Wiscount, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly, has posted some different lessons or lesson plans that she created based on ECS. So you could take a look at those to get some ideas, about searching Web 2.0, or once again, the website compatibility. Kurt Twinning posted some student activities around search engines. And then Amy Wozniak posted an alternative site, social bookmarking site to Delicious. So, okay, and some examples of resources that are outside the CS10K. There's in days 1 and 2, what is a computer? There's a couple links to some videos to stretch the students' thinking about what a computer is or was. So one of them, the picture on your left, is a clip from the Katherine Johnson interview, and she was a computer for NASA. So basically, where there were computers, she did calculations for the space missions. Then there's also a link to the trailer for Top Secret Rosie's, and these were female computers who did ballistics research during the war, and their calculations were passed out to soldiers and bombardiers. So, okay. So based on that, I guess, do we have any other questions? Let me catch up with what's going on in the chat.
I just want to jump in here. This is Melissa again from AIR. I know that you guys are going to absolutely love the great work that John has done. He has done an amazing job of scouring the website. I think one of the things that it's a great benefit when you can crowdsource resources and allow lots of people to add things, because then you have the benefit of a large community being able to share their great ideas. But what we all know, especially with the advent of Google and Bing and other search engines, that, just like online, it's amazing to be able to find all these resources, but as someone pointed out in the chat window, it can often be overwhelming to find, great, reliable stuff. And so John has taken on what I'd say is very much a Herculean task of being able to both scout what we have available on the CS10K community, as well as some other trusted resources out there to find some amazing materials to be able to share. So we're really excited. This is something that we're just starting this year. We have a colleague that's doing this same sort of stuff on the CSP side as well. And we're just really looking forward to being able to continue to share products like this throughout the year, because I think you guys are going to find it very, very helpful. We asked them all to kind of think of it in kind of in terms of, you know, if you were just starting and weren't sure where to go, what would you want to have in front of you? And John has done an amazing job of pulling that together. So I just want to take the opportunity to say kudos to you, John, and I can't wait to share that with everyone else. It's coming soon, we promise.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And my understanding, Melissa, is that this is going to be put in some sort of interactive format, so that
so
you can.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I just so that they can navigate through it fairly easily, so it's not just this linear list of resources as it's being presented here, because it's not up yet, so we couldn't show it any other way.
Right.
But if you can give us any hints on that, that would be awesome too.
Yeah, that's actually where, so it's currently sitting with the folks that are in the kind of our pubs or publications and graphic design to try to put it in a very visually appealing format so that people can access it much more easily.
Right, and I wanted to add, well, first, thank you. I don't know if it's as great as they're saying, but thank you. But I wanted to add that once it's published, this is not the end-all, you know, list of resources. I want people to look at them, but I also hope this encourages people to post their great resources or lessons that, you know, that maybe only like 2 people have ever seen, you know, and share with the rest of the community, because I think this is especially helpful for the first-year ECS teachers.
So questions specific for John at this point? And I see, okay, so Mark Sand says not at this time. So we'll wait, see if anyone else has any questions. Okay, Janet is typing, so I'm going to wait. Janet, I see you're asked that folks post lesson plans in PDF form. Can you elaborate rather than Word, you mean?
So I'm guilty of doing what Janet just asked that we don't do. So I'll try to go back and edit that and make it a PDF. Right, or add the PDF along with the doc. Okay, so it sounds like giving the PDF option is cleaner and also better for mobile access. So I will make sure to fix that for my lesson.
Yeah, definitely better for mobile access. Keep on typing your questions, comments, because all I've done is move to the next slide, which is essentially, all right, so you have questions, but we also want your feedback. So if you have additions or modifications you'd like to see, please share them. We've already heard Janet ask for PDFs and for the ability for standard members to be able to post events to groups and projects. As I said at the beginning, some of these things may take longer than others or be more difficult, but we can't know what it is that would help you if we don't hear from you. So please let us know. So Janet says that she likes the changes so far and asks if we can keep them informed, and I think that's an absolutely from Melissa. So Melissa, are these features in the newsletter? Is that something that you put in the newsletter, or is this something that you will transmit through other venues?
Most often we share that through the e-newsletter, which is why it's so important to make sure that you're signed up for that. And even as I was thinking, as folks were typing, I was just kind of considering some things, even thinking about how we can use the newsletter itself to remind you guys of how to, access a group or how to look for resources or highlighting different things. We certainly can do that as well.
Right, and so right now we'll take feedback for anything CS10K, not just the things that we highlighted in this webinar so far.
And I know many of you are part of larger networks of teachers who are participants in CS10K who may not have been able to attend tonight, but please feel free, in fact, feel more than free, to ask them to give you feedback as well so that we can, I'm happy to take feedback from any participants in the community anytime. So please.
Okay, so Janet asked a question. Says, John, are there certain lessons that people seem to need the most help with, resources and ideas? I definitely feel like some of the lessons in Unit 2, I think that comes up maybe around either the tower building or maybe even like sorting, things like that. Those come to my mind, or those are the ones that come to mind.
While we're waiting, or it looks like there's maybe a couple of other folks who may be responding in the chat window, I'd also like to put a plug in. Periodically, we do release kind of some lesser updates or upgrades to the website. And when we do that, we often ask for folks to serve as usability testers. And what that means is we set up a time with you, generally about an hour, that we meet online, and basically ask you to kind of go through a protocol where we just sit back and watch you perform a task related to the website. And the reason why it's so important for us to have folks do that with us is because, you know, we can, in our grand scheme, working with our web developers, develop what we think is a really good strategy for how to set something up on the website or display it or, you know, just any kind of functionality. But it's only good as our users or our members find it. So if you do see that offered, that's what it's all about. We would just ask for folks, and we'd love for people to join that kind of have a variety of experience. So even if you're brand new to the site, that's great because you can help us bring that perspective. Or, you know, maybe it doesn't matter. You could be brand new. You could have been around for a while and see it go through a couple iterations. But just consider that as an opportunity because it's another way to provide us with feedback. We were very strategic in how we kind of set things up with the funding that's supporting this work is that, you know, we had a plan for like a large website redesign, which happened back in May, but then we also were planning for smaller iterations or smaller updates and upgrades over the next couple of years. So we're only, you know, we again have our ideas, but they're only as great as what we get from the rest of the community, and we're always looking for great feedback. So consider that as an opportunity to give back.
All right, well, we have about 5 minutes left, and so I think we'll just move to wrap up and next steps, and some of this we've already talked about, but please, if you all are obviously members already, but if you're not members, if your friends aren't members, encourage them to sign up. We did do sign-ups in PD over the summer, but some people didn't go to PD, or some people were not able to log in the summer for a variety of reasons. So please encourage them to do so, and continue to participate in the ECS Open Group. Be sure that you are registered for this group. I think many people that signed up this summer joined the site, but then didn't join the ECS Open Group, which is a separate sign-up. And you just have to subscribe to join. And then, Melissa, do you want to talk about some of these other events?
Absolutely. I had to unmute myself. Sorry for that pause. So last month, the CS10K Community was a sponsor of Connected Educator Month, and we had a lot of things going on during the month, which was launching Twitter chats. During the month of October, we actually did them weekly. Well, that's a lot to kind of handle, and I'm not sure how much we would be able to continue that throughout the year, but we are transitioning to doing monthly Twitter chats, and they're going to be scheduled for the fourth Monday of every month, from 5 to 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern. If you've never been part of it before, it's pretty easy. All you have to do is follow the hashtag CS10K stream on Twitter. You should follow at CS10K as our actual account. But we do just encourage you to think about this as another professional development opportunity. It's very different if you've never been part of one. Some people kind of feel like it's a little frenetic and too fast-paced, but I find it awesome because it really a terrific way to connect with people, and we've been using our Twitter chats as an opportunity to build a broader community. There are a lot of people out there that's doing great work with computer science that may not be connected to the CS10K projects, particularly a lot of teachers at the K-8 levels who are absolutely critical if we want to build a much larger critical mass for high school and beyond. So we hope you'll consider joining us for these Twitter chats. Again, fourth Monday of the month. And then there are a couple of other webinars coming up. One at the end of the month, November 30th. It's targeted toward the CSP teachers, just like we have these for ECS. We also have some other principles. This particular one is focused about teaching the innovations in computing. So that may be something of interest. And then just a couple of days after that, on December 2nd, we'll be doing another one. Genie Century and a group out of Chicago has put together this fabulous toolkit around computer science education. It's going to have tons of things, anything that from around, like if you're trying to kind of, if you're trying to get a computer science program started at your school, or if you're trying to expand it and need to get your principal or school board behind the cause, or just tons of just really, really amazing resources that are available. So we hope you'll consider one of these. And we do also encourage you, like I said, Gail is organizing monthly webinars for the ECS side of things through the community. And so I'm sure she would love to hear if you have particular topics of interest that you might want us to address in one of those future webinars, because we'd love to tackle it. So I think that's all. Yep, that was all I had on my end.
Okay, thanks, Melissa. And we have a couple of people typing, so we'll. Okay. Another thank you for John. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Really appreciate taking the time to participate in person, so to speak. And we would really, really encourage you to participate in future ones. I very, very much would like to get ideas from people about topics related to ECS teaching that you would particularly like to discuss for an hour. So shoot me an email. And hopefully we will see you all on the CS10K site in the next couple of days. So thanks
Absolutely.
again.
And thank you to Gail, John, and Nicole for being our hosts for the evening.
I just want to say thank you to everybody, and I hope to see those resources go up on the site.
And thank you, everyone, for joining. Please reach out and let us know what we can do to support you as teachers as you teach ECS. We would love to hear any ideas and suggestions. You can email in and let us know.
Thanks, everyone.